This is a story I've told many times, but never recorded, so this will be interesting. Um, all right. So it was probably in maybe February or March. So it was still cold and it was a Sunday morning and I woke up early and was getting ready to go to the big city because there was a international festival and I was going to man the Hawaii table. So I get everything together, get on my bicycle, and I go outside. And oh my God, it snowed. And I had lived in Japan for almost 5 years at this point, and hardly had it ever snowed. And I had never ridden my bicycle in the snow. So I just didn't know how to handle it. And I was like, you know what? I'll just do my best. So I go out on my bicycle, riding to the train station. But as I'm going, I'm riding like I normally do. I'm not being cautious, and I take a turn too tight, and I fall. My bike starts to turn. It falls into the ground as I'm turning, and I scrape my head and bang it on the ground. And at this point, I'm just looking at the sky, and two elderly people saw this, and all of a sudden, the sky is moving because they're dragging me off the road. And I'm sitting up going, oh my God, I only have 10 minutes to catch the train. And they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so I get back on the bicycle and I go to the train station. I rush in, I buy my ticket, I'm sitting on the bench, I'm ready for the train, and I make it. But before the train comes, I have a moment to evaluate myself and see if I'm hurt or not. So I'm like, all right, well, let me feel my head. And I feel my head and I take with my hand, it feels okay, but when my hand comes back into my front, it's covered in blood. So I leave the station and I leave the station and I jump into a taxi, and in Japanese, I'm like, you know, take me to the hospital, take me to the hospital. And he's like, which one? And this is not a big city. So there's only one major hospital. And I was like, doko demo ii, anywhere is okay, anywhere is okay. And so he drives out, and in order to go to the major hospital, I know you turn right. Instead, he turns left. And I'm freaking out a little because I don't know what's going on. And he obviously doesn't realize I'm hurt. And so I'm saying weird things as a foreigner in half Japanese, like blood, because I don't know how to say I'm bleeding, and other things like this. And it's taking a while. So if he had gone to the major hospital, it would have taken 5 minutes, but this is taking like 20 minutes. And we're driving along, we're getting a little further away from my city. And finally he drops me off in front of the building. And I walk inside, and this lady at the desk is like, are you okay? Is your heart okay? And I think, oh no, he's dropped me off at a specialty hospital. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And during this car ride, I was calling everyone I knew, all of my teachers. And finally, at about this point when the attendant was talking to me, someone called me back. And so I hand the phone to her. She hands it back, and my teacher thankfully was like, I'm gonna come and get you now. So at this point, I'm starting to relax because someone I know is coming. And I start to notice that there are people popping up in this once deserted area. But it doesn't seem like an emergency room. It doesn't seem like anyone's being ushered in for physicals or anything. They're just hanging out. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. And also the blood on my head started to dry. And so I didn't feel dizzy. I felt okay. So I was starting to calm down. And so finally, my teacher comes and picks me up, and I'm so grateful. And she's driving me to the main hospital. And as we're driving there, she goes, I just don't understand one thing. Why did they take you to a mental hospital? And that is the story of how I went to the mental hospital one time in Japan. The end. Oh, and as a side note, my head was fine. I did go to the hospital. I got an MRI. It was just a surface scratch, and everything was fine.